I've been using the new M1 MacBook Air for a few weeks now, and what can I say that you don't already know? It's an absolute beast. If you do graphics, video, or sound editing work, which is what I do and the reason I bought it for, I can tell you, you won't be disappointed. In this video, I won't just tell you how good this laptop is, I'll actually show you in real life, over the shoulders, how it feels to edit with it. Honestly, in this price range, what you get is pretty incredible. I won't go into the specs and benchmarks. Honestly, there are just way too many videos already about this, giving you all sorts of benchmarks and ratings and showing you how much better these M1 laptops are compared to pretty much anything out there in the market today. In this price range, as far as I'm aware, there is nothing that comes anywhere near close in terms of performance and processing power. Honestly, the M1 chip is so far ahead of the competition that it's kind of crazy. My intention was always to wait and upgrade to one of the new M1X MacBook Pros whenever they come out. But with the current shortage in semiconductors, I reckon they won't come out until early next year at the earliest. So I upgraded to the M1 MacBook Air because, in all fairness, I need a new computer now and not in 9 to 12 months. And just so that you know, I bought the 8-core CPU and 8-core GPU with 16 gigs of RAM. And you might ask yourself, why the more expensive laptop when almost every video on YouTube tells you that the base entry model is more than enough? Well, I expect all the programs to eventually implement the M1 chip much better than they do today, and I mean no doubt that having that extra GPU core and 8 gigs of RAM will come very handy when that happens. Essentially, what I'm doing is future-proofing my purchase, especially because you can't really upgrade any of the internal components. So if I'm going to spend the money to start with, I may as well just go all in so I won't regret it a few months down the line. And my experience with it so far, well, I've edited a couple of half-an-hour videos since I got it, mixing HD and 4K resolutions from a number of cameras in the same timeline, 8-bit, 10-bit, I mean, you name it. The MacBook Air has not slowed me down ever, not once, and that's impressive. This thing can move almost any footage, even 8K, which I find mad in this price range. But honestly, why would anyone ever need to edit at 8K resolution? You can always wait for the new 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros, which will have more ports, more cores, and more of everything. But if you need a new laptop today that can handle pretty much anything you throw at it, the M1 MacBook Air is amazing. And the icing on the cake is that it will only get better over time as more programs implement the M1 chip. Now, a lot of videos showing you how amazing this laptop is show you the performance in a single video track. And let's be honest here, when you edit video, you use more than a single video track. Want to see how well it does in a real-life editing session? Let's get right into it so you can see for yourself what this laptop can and can't handle. So here we are in Davinci Resolve, and just before we get started, just so that everybody knows that we're starting with media that is not optimized, I'm just going to come here, I'm going to find my optimized media folder, I'm going to show in Finder, and I'm just going to erase all of it. I'm just going to come here and erase empty bin. There you go. Whatever there is, it's gone. Okay. So there is no optimized media now in this system. Let's just get started. Let's bring some music in. That's a good track. And we're going to normalize this. Okay, so now to start with, we have a range of footage here. We have red footage, we have converted or transcoded footage. So we have red footage from Red's website, and that's I will probably leave it for later on. We have some A7S footage, and we can clearly see that it copes with it quite well, surprisingly well, I would say. Let's just get started. Let's bring some footage. Let's start with this. Okay, so we're gonna put that. Alright, so next clip, let's bring something like that. Okay. Okay, so let's find something else. This one, just so this, as you can clearly see, is playing, quite smoothly. No need to worry or no need to wait, and you can clearly see up here that it's playing fine. So let's bring that in. Okay, so we're gonna now extend this, and the purpose of this is to see how well it copes with all sorts of footage thrown in. We have some Blackmagic 6K. Let's bring something there. Okay, so let's bring it down, and this is 6K footage. So you should not be able to play back 6K footage on a system like this, but it does it. Let's cut it earlier. Let's bring something like that. Oh, and just so that you can see, the playback is off and the render catch is none. So I'm literally just playing back the footage with, I even have the effects on. So let's just reduce that for additional playback speed. But this is straight off the bins. I'm not reducing the resolution, which obviously I could do and put playback nicer. But this is literally just running off the bins, and I find this really incredible. So we could definitely extend that there. Let's bring some of the footage. Maybe not that. Oh, that's nice. So there, and roughly this one was 5 seconds 15, so we need something that is 3, something like that. So let's bring this in there. Oh, we don't need the audio. Okay, so let's just bring in some more. Let's just bring in some iPhone footage, because it's very difficult footage, the iPhone. Okay, let's just bring some random footage. Okay, maybe not that. How about something like that? 4K log 2. Okay, so that's that. We don't need the audio. That's, as you can clearly see, 4K resolution. Let's just bring this one in. There. Let's bring another one. Riverside. This is 10-bit log 3. That's nice. Okay, so that's 10-bit. That's 10-bit log 3. This is really difficult footage for Davinci to work with. It's a lot more difficult than some of the high-end formats or codecs, simply because he has to do so much processing. But you can clearly see that it's coping really well. Not only that, but let's just go back to the A7S3 footage. Whoops. Yeah, let's bring some of that. Maybe from there. There was a bit of a jerky move there. Probably when I need that up to there. Just bring it down. But you can clearly see how well this is covered. You know what, let's just bring in some, and this is now where the system is going to start struggling, because this system is not been built for high-end codecs. So you got two options. For instance, we got red footage here, and we have transcoded footage. So the transcoded footage, you can clearly see, no problem. It plays back without a problem. If we play the red footage, that's a different matter. You can clearly see it's just about giving you a review playback, but definitely not something you can work with. But the moment it gets into the RAM, it plays back at 24. This really should not be happening on a MacBook Air. This is literally 8K red native. You know, you can clearly see here, this is an R3D file. This is not an MOV version. This is an R3D file. So let's just, for the sake of it, let's just bring this into the timeline. This is mad. Boom, there. It's brilliant. This is, I should not be able to do this. There is absolutely no way I should be able to play back this kind of footage in this system. This is the important thing now. What you can see is having RAM, because a lot of people say, "Oh, you know, get the base unit." Well, the more footage it gets loaded onto the RAM, the quicker it will play back. And now it's loaded into the RAM, and it plays at 24. I mean, again, I should not be doing this. This is clearly not what you would do on a normal project. First, you would not edit at 8K. That's just plain and simple silly. And if you were to do 8K, you wouldn't be on full res. You would be half res or quarter res. But the actual fact that you can actually play back full resolution. This is mad. You can clearly see here, it's, it's giving us full res playback. I mean, yes, you get some drop frames, but you know, look, scrubbing, okay? I hardly ever do a scrubbing. I don't care about scrubbing. Well, I go to beginning and top end, beginning of the clip and end of the clip. Sometimes I do a scrubbing if I want to be precise on anything, but normally I want to be beginning or end of the cut so that I can then quickly bring in a new clip. You know, let's just bring this one in, you know. And again, these are random shots, you know, particularly focusing too much. It is just for performance, you know. But you can clearly see once it gets loaded onto the RAM, it plays back. I mean, you know, this is 8K for crying out loud. I mean, I should not be able to play in 8K. And you can always bring and then optimize media, and it will optimize the media and then will play back without any problem. But this is not what you normally do when you record the high-end codec like Red Camera or Real Access. You normally have a project that it has the luxury of time. So if you shoot at 8K, nobody in his right mind would be editing at 8K. You would transcode the footage down to an MOV file, for instance, here. And here you can see there is no problem. You know, it's the MOV file. It takes a little bit to load up, but you can clearly see it's perfectly fine. And if I was to bring that footage in, let's see, compare how much better this second part plays over the first one. So that's the difference between transcoding media, or you can do optimized media and it will do it. But if I was to bring the playback resolution, say half. So now we are half 8K. Okay, just take a look at this, 25. I want you to understand what is going on here. Yeah, this is 8K R3D files playing back real time on a timeline in a laptop. You know, and I kid you not. I mean, okay, let's just bring this. This is footage directly from red.com website. Okay, you can download this. You know, this footage has been around. This is from, I don't know if it's a Helium camera. Anyway, one of the high-end cameras they have. This footage you should not be able to move this footage on a laptop, plain and simple. It's just mad. But look at this, you know, it's pretty. And this is where the limitations start to show. But I'm sorry, but let's say that I bring it here and bring it more. It takes a while to reload. That's playing back. That's playback. This is red footage playing back at full res, half a res on a timeline. And obviously, this is offline. Obviously, you know, we can now go into the grades and start throwing in grades. Let's just do this. Let's just start bringing lots and see what happens. Of course. Okay, so that's one lot. Let's just bring that one there as well, and that one there. And for the sake of, okay, so you can see how quick the reviews are as well. So you can, you know, there is very little waiting time. Let's just go in here and wheels. Let's just bring this down, and this, just bring this down. And let's just do the same with this one. No, this one. Apply grade. This is an 8-bit, so let's just there. This is 10-bit. Let's just bring this down, and let's just say 75. Increase that. Just throw in, yeah, why not? Just bring it in. Again, I'm just going fast, and it's the same, and this, okay? So, you know, let's just go, why not? Let's just try it. For assessing your grade, this is more than enough, you know, I mean, let's just go, why not? Let's just try this. I would be quite impressed if it would play full res, but let's just try half res. And again, a laptop like a MacBook Air should not be able to grade 8K R3D files at full res. Let's just go back onto 1080p. You should not be able to do that. And look, with 1080p actually okay, let's just go full. Why not? Let's try full res. Okay. So it's struggling, but as you also know, preview on the grading section is always worse than on the timeline. So let's just try the timeline now. Okay, so that's almost real time. This is graded footage on 8K resolution on a 1080p timeline, a half res. You know, look, this is pretty incredible. You can literally work from that. You know that when you are in your export settings, you know, you just put everything you put full res, and then you up the timeline to 8K, and that's your external signal. But you should not be able to do this in a laptop like a MacBook Air. This is real time. Let's just go full res. This is let's just remember this is graded footage playing at full res on the timeline. This is 6K. And as you clearly know, what you should know, you only grade a project at the very end. So you don't just start editing and start grading. You do your grading at the very end. So this would be the very end. And normally you would also have all the clips in a single track, which is what most people do. But, I wanted to show you that you can get away with so much. And why not? Let's just bring in some titles, let's just bring some titles in. Titles here. Let's just do something. Yeah, let's just see. Why not? Okay, so I'm gonna come here, and this is A7S footage. Let's close this. So let's just. Yeah, you see, now it's struggling, but only briefly. You see, you should not be able to do this with the laptop. Let's just multiply this. Why not? Let's just bring in more. This is now Blackmagic BMMC 6K. Okay, so. This is full res. Let's just bring it half res. It should get you a better playback. So if you think about what you just seen, let's put this in context. This is a 1080p timeline. Nobody in his right mind is going to edit at 4K, 6K, or 8K. That's just plain stupid, okay? You don't need that much resolution to be editing, especially on an offline. You want to get on and get footage that plays back quickly so that you can edit quick. So normally you do a 1080p timeline or even a 720p. Only when you get into the online or the finishing, you want to get that extra footage looking really, really nice and really sharp. So what we're doing here is in a 1080p timeline. We have multiple video tracks. Let's just pile it up. For the sake of it, let's just bring the media. Let's just bring some of the footage. I don't know, Pocket 2. Okay, this is another complex codec for the camera. Let's just bring this. Okay, so that's Pocket 2. Let's just pile it up. Let's just bring in something on top, because we want to see how many tracks we can get away with. So can we actually play? Because the thing with your edit is, everything is nice and clean. You get tracks that they overlap and things that they sort of are halfway over another track, and you want to sort of let's just bring another track. If you edit over 4 tracks, that's probably what most people do. It's and this stuff that needs to be moved. See, it takes it with a. You can go. Let's just go back. The jerkiness that you saw there is obviously because you are playing full res 6K graded with a title on top, which is not what you normally do when you do an offline. This is just for illustration purposes. But you can clearly see that if you were to have no grades, you will have no problem editing any of this footage. Most people that watch this video, most people that will buy this laptop using Davinci Resolve, they'll be using footage from iPhones, from Blackmagic cameras, for Pocket 2 cameras. It's sort of a mid to low end footage. And this is plain, okay, so that's full, I'm gonna put full res 4K with the title, say 12 Pro Max 4K. So that's 12 Pro Max 4K. No problem. This is actually mad. So that's 12 Pro Max footage. This is 10-bit log, 10-bit footage. So this is the 4K 10-bit log 3 graded footage from an iPhone with the title on. I mean, really, it shows you what an impressive performance you get out of this laptop. Let's just sort of cut this out. And you can come here, and then you just go there and there, and one down for the sound. Bring this down. You can also see how responsive the timeline is. Actually, I only need at the beginning. And there. And G. Okay, so that's it. Let's just, for the sake of this demonstration, let's just play back. You can clearly see it plays very nice, plays no problem. Now, there are limitations to this, okay? So this is not a high-end system, okay? This is a low-end or a low-budget system. You should not be able to be doing the things that it does. And sometimes you'll come across situations like what you just saw. You know, it needs to catch up because it's clearing the RAM, loading the new footage. But you would not edit at 6K, you would not edit at 8K, let alone 4K. You bring the footage down to 1080p, which is more than enough for anybody to view high resolution. You don't need the ultra fine detail when you're doing your offline, okay? You can pile up several layers of footage, there's no problem. This is, Davinci is having to read this, even though it doesn't show you, it only shows this clip. Because it's in the timeline, it's having to process it, which is mad. Now, limitations, okay? And again, this is not a high-end system. Red footage, it struggles with it, but it's supposed to struggle with footage, with red footage. And still, some of it is, you know, there you go. You go down to 6.4, okay? This is playing off the bins, okay? So it's supposed to struggle. Okay, let's just bring this down there and let's see what the negatives are or the struggles are. It's supposed to struggle. A system like this is not supposed to be playing red footage in a timeline. It's just pure mad. Okay? It's not supposed to. But again, you would not be editing. You would not be bringing R3D files into a MacBook Air. That's not, you don't buy a laptop like this to edit R3D footage. You know? And if you want to edit in a timeline, you would transcode it, because, you know, once you transcode it, it plays no problem at all. You know, we can bring this down into the timeline, no problem. Let's play back half the resolution. That's more than enough. That's you would edit this and then conform it or bring the R3D at the grade. But for most people, this is all they need. Now, this is a 1 minute 12 second timeline. We got a mix of A7S3, Blackmagic 6K, iPhone footage, DJI Pocket 2 footage, Red One camera R3D files. It's a bit of a mix of everything, okay? So let's just come here. Let's just, for the sake of seeing their sheer performance. Okay, so that's the whole timeline. And let's just call this desktop M1 test. I'm rendering to the desktop. Let's just do this at 4K. Why not? Let's just export it at 4K. Ultra HD or UHD. Okay, there you go. That's probably more than enough. 25 frames automatic, audio. Yeah. Okay, so let's just start rendering and let's see how long it takes. And as you can clearly see, this is going faster than real time in some clips. Obviously, when it gets to the 6K and the 8K or the red footage, will slow down. But what I hope people understand with this is that this is a $1,100 or $1,300 computer, $1,000, depending on the price that you pay and the time that you buy. You should not be editing or be able to edit 6K or 8K footage. You should be able to just load it and then the computer, the system will freeze. You should not be able to play back, let alone edit with it. It struggles with the R3D. Of course it struggles with the R3D because even machines that cost $20,000 will struggle with R3D files because they're absolute massive. But with things like iPhone footage, smartphones footage, cameras like the gimbals, DJI Pocket 2s, most of Canon cameras, any camera that records on MP4s or MOV, this laptop will work without any problem whatsoever. And if you work in a high-end environment, you would not buy a laptop like this unless you do from preview. And you could even bring this laptop onto a high-end environment simply for preview, but you would not rely on it to be working because it's not designed for it. You need to wait for the new fancier systems that will come from Apple. But what you're getting in this price range, it's truly remarkable. And as you can clearly see now, it's struggling, it's dropping down to 6 frame. But this is rendering 8K R3D files down to 4K. It's really mad. And, for what you get and what you pay, it's incredible. And you could argue that it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. But for most people, this is more than enough. You will have a computer here lasting you for a good number of years. The speed is staggering, really. So I can't believe it's rendering red footage like it's normal footage. Most systems would not be able to render at this speed. They would have maybe like 1 frame per second, and it's giving you 8K uncompressed R3D files with a grade on at 4.5 frames a second. It's kind of mad, really. There you go. One thing that I should say is that I've been exporting the footage or the timeline with the screen recording software. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to re-export it. Okay, I'm going to delete it and then hold on, just to say test 2. Okay, so I'm just going to export this now. I'm going to turn off the screen recording and I will be back and I'll show you what the results are once this is over, okay? Okay, so here we are again, and now you can clearly see without the screen recording software, it's gone down to 1 minute 55 seconds, which is nearly a minute faster in exporting than previously when I was recording the screen. So that gives you an idea of how many resources the screen recording takes. So things like playback and everything else would be quicker than what you just seen, for the simple fact that I wouldn't have the screen recording on. So I hope that this helps in illustrating the power of this laptop and how much you can get done with this incredible machine, really. I should say that if you do long form work and you have the time and patience to transcode all the high resolution footage to lower resolution codecs, you can definitely use an older pre-2016 computer for editing. That's how I did things using a late 2013 model until recently when I started this YouTube channel. If you edit the project for a number of weeks or months, then transcoding is really not an issue. But if you aim to create, edit, and upload at least one video per week, shooting in a range of HD and 4K resolutions, well, you just don't have the time to be sitting around waiting for any transcoding. Look, the M1 MacBook Air is really good. It's super light, it's ideal to take on occasion, and battery life is actually quite good, although it's not as groundbreaking as some videos on YouTube might suggest. But the main thing here is the M1 chip and how much quicker you can work and get things done. And yes, there are some things that it can do, but for me, and I would imagine that it's the same for 90% of people watching this video, it's more than enough. If you worry about the fact that it only supports single monitor output rather than two or more, well, get yourself an ultra-wide monitor and problem sorted. It only has two Thunderbolt 4 ports, some might say. Well, get over it. Get yourself a dongle for $30, $40 and problem sorted. Honestly, most of the issues are really not that big if you think about it. Who is this laptop good for? Well, if you use any camera in the middle to low end bracket, this will be more than enough. I know it sounds crazy, but you've seen it yourself. It can handle 4K really well. If you do high-end work with cameras like the Arri Alexis or Red cameras, or work as a DIT on set, or anything dealing with a high-end demanding environment, I would say this laptop is not quite there. It's not for you. But like I said earlier, for 90% of people doing mid to low-end work, anything ranging from 4K down to HD, this laptop is, in my opinion, more than capable. And don't take my word for it, I just showed it to you. Anyway, I hope you liked this video and got something positive out of it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. It will help the video getting some traction and eyeballs on it, which is always welcome. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do any more videos about M1 laptops. I'll be doing soon a video with a professional editor friend of mine who edits commercials, TV series, documentaries, anything to do with broadcast TV. And he will give me his views and opinions as to whether he would be able to use this laptop in a professional environment. And with that being said, we'll see you in the next video.